Hello everyone. Welcome to part 2 of listening skills. In the last video we learned about the meaning of listening, the different steps in the listening process, and we also differentiated between listening and hearing. Most of all, we understood the importance of active listening. I'm sure most of you listening to me today are already very good listeners. So before we begin today's topic, I have a question for you to test how active you are as a listener. And the question is, why do you need to be a good listener? To obtain information, to improve a relationship, to gain appreciation for something, to make discriminations, to engage in a critical evaluation. Look at each of these options and quickly post your answer in the poll. Click on the button that appears on the screen and click on your answer. Well, did you know? All of those points are reasons for us to be good listeners. And as we learn each type of listening today, we will understand why. The first type of listening is informative listening. Informative listening means listening to obtain knowledge which is found in all areas of our lives. You must have heard some speech recently, or when was the latest that you heard a set of instructions? What information did you receive from that? For example, we listen to lectures or instructions from teachers, and what we learn depends on how well we listen. At our workplace, we listen to understand new practices or procedures, and how well we perform depends on how well we listen. Any of you who have worked or are working in a team will be knowing how important instructions and briefings are. We also listen to reports and speeches, especially via the news channel on a daily basis. If we listen poorly, we are not fully equipped with the information that we are supposed to receive. We may lose out on bits of information, and as we all know, half knowledge is dangerous and could render useless at the workplace. The more information we receive, the more likely it is that we'll grow. Now, there are three key variables related to informative listening. The first variable to informative listening is vocabulary. It is clear that a genuine interest in words and language, making a conscious effort to learn new words, breaking down unfamiliar words into their component parts, all these help tremendously during an active listening process. Another good way to improve your vocabulary is to be sensitive to the context in which words are used. Sometimes unfamiliar words appear with synonyms. At other times, a contrast is drawn. The second variable is concentration. Concentration is difficult. You can remember times when another person was not concentrating on what you were saying. And you probably can remember times when you were not concentrating on something that someone was saying to you. For example, so concentration requires discipline, motivation, and acceptance of responsibility. However, lack of interest, listening to two things at the same time, ego issues, lack of curiosity could hamper informative listening. The third variable is memory. Memory is an especially crucial variable to informative listening. You cannot process information without bringing memory into play. It helps recall experiences and information which are necessary to function in the world around you. It establishes expectations concerning what you will encounter. Driving in heavy traffic, reacting to new situations, or making common decisions in life without memory of your past experiences would be impossible. It also allows you to understand what others say. Without simple memory of the meaning of words, you could not communicate with anyone else. Let us look at the second type of listening, which helps to build and improve relationships between people. Relationship listening. Therapeutic listening is a special type of relationship listening, a skill which counselors, medical professionals, doctors use so that a troubled person can speak to them and talk openly about any problem. However, friends or family members too do make use of relationship listening when they engage in conversations where there is open, free, and frank communication without any reservations. Relationship listening basically requires you to listen not just for information, but also to understand the person. There are three behaviors that are key to effective relationship listening. The first behavior is attending. We all know that attention is an important step in the listening process. How do you show a person that you are attentive? Eye contact is one of the most important behaviors for a good listener. You should look appropriately and comfortably at the speaker and not have a frequent shift of gaze, staring, or looking around the room while speaking. Body positioning communicates whether you accept the speaker or not. Leaning forward toward the speaker demonstrates interest. Leaning away communicates lack of interest. Other positive attending behaviors are head nods, smiles, frowns, and vocalized cues such as I see or yes, go ahead. A pleasant tone of voice, gentle touching, and concern for the other person's comfort. The second one is supporting. Many responses have a negative or non-supportive effect. For example, interrupting the speaker, changing the subject, turning the conversation toward yourself, demonstrating a lack of concern for the other person. Giving advice, attempting to manipulate the conversation, or indicating that you consider yourself superior are other behaviors. All these will have an adverse effect on the relationship. Sometimes the best response is silence. The speaker may need a sounding board, not a resounding board. Wise relationship listeners know when to talk and when to just listen, and they use discretion, belief, and patience while listening. The third behavior is empathizing. Empathy is not sympathy, which is a feeling for someone more as another person, nor it is apathy, which is a lack of feeling. Empathy is feeling and thinking with another person. The caring, empathic listener is able to go into the world of another, to see as the other sees, hear as the other hears, and feel as the other feels. You cannot be an effective empathic listener without becoming involved, which sometimes means learning more than you really want to know. But commanders can't command effectively, bosses can't supervise skillfully, and individuals can't relate interpersonally without empathy. Well, that was a bit heavy, wasn't it? Let us move forward to a lighter type of listening, the third type, appreciative listening. Appreciative listening includes listening to music for enjoyment, to famous speakers because you like their style. There are many sources such as the theatre, television, radio, online channels, song apps, etc. Now, how does appreciative listening take place? It is the response of the listener and not the source of the message that defines appreciative listening. The quality of appreciative listening basically depends upon three factors. The first factor is presentation, which encompasses many factors such as medium, setting, style, and personality of the presenter. The second one is perception. There is better chance of enjoying a concert if we expect to enjoy it. Most of us use selective listening and we choose what we want to pay attention to. A particular playlist, channel, teacher, speaker, and more. Very often, people residing together share common interests or use different medium to engage in our individual interests. If your brother loves listening to the commentary of a cricket match on TV, and if you find it too jarring, you may plug in your earphones and begin listening to soft rock. So let's take a poll to see what you are interested in. If you were given 4 options on a Sunday afternoon, which would you prefer listening to? Music, inspirational talk, sports commentary, or dialogues of a movie or series? Do submit your response as it will help understanding what you as a listener really appreciate. The third factor is previous experience. Sometimes pleasant memories include sounds based on previous experience, especially during the growing up years. Many people who have grown up in a large city enjoy the sounds of traffic. Others, having grown up on a farm or in a small town, have learned to enjoy the sounds of nature. If we associate a sound or other experience with pleasant memories, then we appreciate or enjoy it. Hope you all enjoyed appreciative listening. Let us now move to a more serious type known as critical listening. The ability to listen critically is essential in a democracy. At the workplace, on the job, in the community, at service clubs, in places of worship, and in the family, there is no place where critical listening is unimportant. Politicians, the media, salesmen, advocates of policies and procedures, and our own financial, emotional, intellectual, physical, and spiritual needs require us to place a premium on critical listening and the thinking that accompanies it. The 3 things to be kept in mind, as outlined by Aristotle, a classical Greek philosopher, more than 2000 years ago, in his treatise The Rhetoric, are as follows. The first factor is ethos. The 2 critical factors of speaker credibility are expertness and trustworthiness. A speaker may be an expert or very competent and still not be trustworthy. We are always in a dilemma about who to trust and who not to when it comes to people we don't personally know, though what they say may be absolutely true based on pure expertise. However, ethos without logos is not enough. Logos indicates logic. Even speakers with high ethos often make errors in logic, not by intention but by accident, carelessness, inattention to detail, or lack of analysis. When evaluating arguments, listeners should ask several questions about the proposition or statements made. Let us look at some of these questions. Speakers often use psychological appeal to gain an emotional response from listeners. This factor is pathos, which requires an appeal to anyone or several needs, desires, or values that are important to us, such as adventure, curiosity, fear, creativity, companionship, independence, loyalty, power, sympathy, etc. There are several questions critical listeners should ask themselves when assessing the pathos element. Let us look at some of the questions. We shall now look at the fifth type, discriminative listening. This is probably the most important type because it is basic to all the four. By being sensitive to changes in the speaker's rate, volume, pitch, force, and emphasis, the informative listener can detect even nuances of differences in meaning. By sensing the impact of certain responses, such as or I see, relationship listening can be strengthened. Detection of differences between sounds made by certain musical instruments in the orchestra enhances appreciative listening. Finally, sensitivity to pauses and other vocal and non-verbal cues allows critical listeners not only to accurately judge the speaker's message but also his intentions. The first factor for discriminative listening is hearing ability. For example, a person may be less able to discriminate when the sound is coming from a bass voice than from a higher pitched one. Most emotions are clearly indicated when the pitch is high rather than low. Awareness of sound structure. Native speakers become quite proficient at recognizing vowel and consonant sounds that do or do not appear at the beginning, middle, or end of words. For example, a listener might hear this sandal when what the speaker said was this handle. But since English words do not begin with sb, one would not mistake this bean for this sbeen. Attention to the sound structure of the language will lead to more proficient discriminatory listening. A person who pays attention to sound structure would recognize that a rapidly spoken "I drank it first" could mean either "I drank it first" or "I'd rank it first." Recognition of the two meanings would cause the listener to seek clarification. The third factor is integration of non-verbal cues. Words don't always communicate true feelings. The way they are said or the way the speaker acts may be the key to understanding the true or intended meaning. For example, "I didn't expect it" could indicate an element of surprise or disappointment. Non-verbal cues such as tone of voice and expression help identify the speaker's true feelings. So let's do this one last time. Look and listen carefully and identify the emotion that I am depicting. And quickly submit your response in the poll that appears on the screen. I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it. Well, with this we end our session of the 5 types of listening. But remember, listen not just with your ears, but with your eyes as well. In the next video, we will be learning about the importance of